There comes a moment in every life when applause fades, affirmations grow silent, and even the eyes of encouragement no longer hold weight. What remains is silence, not the hollow kind, but the kind that roars. Because silence is not the absence of sound. It is the space where the deepest truths begin to speak. When we stop chasing approval, when external validation no longer feeds our soul, and when the need to be seen diminishes, a new power awakens within us, quiet, fierce, and unwavering. The power of no longer needing. No longer needing to be understood, to be admired, to be liked by everyone. Not because we've grown bitter, but because we've matured. Because we've learned that real freedom is not found in being loved by others, but in knowing your worth even when they don't. There are relationships that appear sacred on the surface, connections wrapped in affection and loyalty, but beneath them lies a quiet suffocation. Some forms of care come in the costume of love but demand that we shrink, obey, and disappear. You are loved, but only when you are soft. You are accepted, but only when you are silent. You are tolerated, but only when you betray parts of yourself. And so you stay not out of joy, but out of guilt. You remain not because the love feels right, but because you've been conditioned to believe that walking away means failing. Until one day, something within you rises up and whispers, I can't need this anymore if it costs me my soul. And that moment, not the breakup, not the argument, but that quiet, sacred refusal, becomes the first act of liberation. The day you realize that your exhaustion is valid, that love should never demand self-abandonment, and that if your presence in someone's life depends on your silence, then it was never love, it was emotional servitude. There are those among us who survive on the energy of being needed. They are the kind ones, the reliable ones, the givers. They make others feel safe, heard, and held. But over time, they begin to feel hollow, because one day they realize being lovable is not the same as being loved. Being useful is not the same as being valued. They have been everything to everyone, yet when they finally need someone, really need, they find no one there. Not because others are cruel, but because they've made it look so effortless for so long. Their strength has become their invisibility, and so they begin to pull back. They stop overgiving. They stop apologizing for their limits. And in doing so, they discover something revolutionary. The right people love you even when you're not needed. They realize that becoming unnecessary is not a tragedy. It is the beginning of real intimacy, the kind not built on dependence, but on mutual recognition. The kind where you're loved not for your performance, but for your presence. To remain silent in the face of insult is not weakness. It is power. To not defend yourself against every misunderstanding is not passivity. It is maturity. Not everything deserves a response. Not every provocation is worthy of your peace. There is a quiet revolution that happens when you realize, I don't have to prove myself anymore. People will be upset when you no longer dance to their music. They'll call you cold, distant, selfish. But what they're really saying is, you're no longer easy to manipulate. To stop reacting is not indifference. It is a conscious act of emotional conservation. You learn to invest your energy where it truly matters. Not in battles of ego, not in proving your point, not in repairing perceptions that were never yours to fix. It's not about becoming numb. It's about becoming selective. Because your peace is not a currency to be traded for temporary approval. Carl Jung once wrote, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Many of us are bound by silent contracts we never agreed to, but signed through our pain. That to be loved, we must never say no. That to be accepted, we must betray ourselves. That to keep others close, we must abandon our truth. These unspoken rules come from childhood wounds, from moments of abandonment, from being punished for expressing needs, from being told explicitly or implicitly that love must be earned. And so we become adults trapped in emotional scripts written by fear. We stay too long. We give too much. We endure too quietly, until something inside us snaps, not violently but consciously. We wake up. We begin to rewrite the story. No longer the child pleading to be loved. Now the adult choosing to honor themselves. We break the old contracts. We say no even if our voice shakes. We leave when staying would cost us our sanity. We disappoint others in order to finally be loyal to ourselves. And that is not selfish. That is sacred. People who know their worth often seem cold to those who were used to their compliance. They no longer explain themselves. They no longer chase closure. They no longer fight to be chosen. They don't play the game because they see it for what it is. A performance for love that was never real. Their silence is not rejection. It is self-respect. Their distance is not cruelty. It is clarity. These are not people who lack love. They are full of it, but they have learned to pour it inward first. They have boundaries not because they are hard, but because they are soft and need protection. They have standards not because they think they're better, but because they've been broken before by settling for less. Their coldness is the scar tissue of deep inner work. It's what happens when you've walked through fire and chosen not to let it turn you bitter. It's the quiet dignity of someone who has nothing to prove and everything to preserve. There comes a day when you stop explaining yourself. Not because you no longer care, but because you've finally accepted. Understanding is not a prerequisite for peace. The ones who love you will understand or try to. The ones who don't never really did. And so you stop pleading for validation. You stop chasing the ghosts of past misunderstandings. You no longer shapeshift to avoid judgment. You let go, not out of pride, but out of peace. You begin to walk away from what is unclear, dishonest, or emotionally draining. Not because it is beneath you, but because you've decided to honor the clarity within you. This is not detachment. It is devotion to truth, to self, to sanity. You no longer need to be loved by everyone, because you are finally loved by someone who matters most. Yourself. Maturity is not just about age. It's about becoming the person you needed when you were younger. Person who is strong, but gentle. Firm, but compassionate. Boundaried, but warm. You stop waiting for someone to save you. You stop hoping someone will love you into wholeness. You become that someone for yourself. No longer a beggar at the table of love. You are now the table, stable, grounded, offering without losing yourself. You learn to give from overflow, not emptiness. To stay out of desire, not desperation. To leave without anger, and love without attachment. And in doing so, you attract people who are ready not for the idea of you, but for the reality of you. No more emotional projects. No more half-loves. No more silent suffering. Only truth. Only presence. Only mutual recognition. When you no longer need to be loved, you don't become unloving. You become unchainable. You stop grasping. You stop chasing. You stop shrinking. Not because you've given up on love, but because you've found something deeper. Self-respect. Stillness. Sovereignty. This is not loneliness. It is sacred solitude. And from this place, this holy silence, love that is true will find you. Not the kind that asks you to disappear, but the kind that sees you, holds you, and stays. Thank you for accompanying. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below so we can discuss. Wish you and your family good health.